How's it going, everybody, and welcome to the channel. Hope everybody's having a fantastic week so far. Today we're going to be taking a look at a bunch of PC components that I picked up at my local junkyard. A little bit of backstory: I went there to grab some parts with my little brother for his car when I happened to notice a box full of PC stuff. Not only was there components, there was a case as well. So we have almost a full system here. I was told by one of the employees that one of their recent tow-ins had all this stuff in the trunk of the car, so they stuck it in a box, put it up for sale, and I paid $25. So this is an AM4 platform. Not exactly sure what the specs are or even what all is there, but I saw the motherboard, the CPU, it had a cooler, it has a GPU, and a power supply. Not entirely sure what the specs are, but for $25, who's gonna complain? So without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright folks, so this is what we are working with. From what I can see, this is a full-size ATX case. It looks like an iBuy power case. This thing is absolutely huge. Looks like it's got support for up to 7 fans. We got 3 in the front, 3 on the top, and then 1 in the rear. It's definitely crusty and dusty. A little bit of hair in here, but mostly just dust. But overall, it's not that bad. I see minimal scratches, no dents. This thing looks like it's in pretty decent shape. Aside from the case, we do have both panels sitting over here. So we do have a full case, and then here are our goodies. So we do have our GPU sitting right here. We have our power supply. We have a cooler still in the box, which is nice. And then we have our motherboard and CPU. So I'm gonna go ahead, get everything out of here, and we're gonna see what exactly we got going on here. Okay, so I have everything nice and laid out here for you guys. We're gonna go ahead, start with the graphics card, see what we got here. So this does look like a PNY GTX 1060 OC. This is a 6 gig card, GDDR5. Definitely not bad at all. It does look like this thing may have been spray painted. There's a little bit of overspray here on the fans, so I'm assuming that this is not the original color, but that's okay. As long as it works, that's all that matters. Next up is our power supply. So we have a Raid Max 450 watt PSU. This thing feels super light. It's got a little bit of dust in there, but it's actually fairly clean considering where I got this stuff from. Next up, we do have our stock cooler here. This thing looks like it has never been used. And it does have thermal paste on the bottom. Has a little smudge on the bottom, but not a big deal. So at least, well, we got a screw in there apparently. At least we're not going to have to paste it. Just go ahead and clean up the CPU here and be able to just mount this thing straight on. So that's always nice. Next up is our motherboard. Looks like we have an X470 Gaming Plus. This is by MSI. In terms of our CPU, what do we got? We have a AMD Ryzen 5 1400. So this is a quad core. This released in 2017. It has a TDP of 65 watts. I've never actually gotten to test one of these things. I have no idea how it's going to run, but it does have 8 threads to go along with those 4 cores, so not half bad. Again, for $25, who's going to complain? I most certainly am not. Aside from that, we do have our mounting plate right here as well. We have one SATA connector, and then we have a ton of screws here. So hopefully this is going to be enough to get this thing up and running. We do not have fans and we do not have RAM, but thankfully I do have a bunch of backstock of both of those. So we should be able to get one hell of a little budget build going on here. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead, we're going to get this stuff all nice and cleaned up real fast, get everything installed, we're going to test some games, see what this thing can do in 2025. This may just be one of the ultimate budget builds. Okay, so as I was dusting off the motherboard, I got everything nice and relatively clean. I still got to do a little bit more dusting. I discovered quite a few issues on this thing. So the first thing that I noticed is that on the NVMe here, it is actually rusting down here. So we do have some severe corrosion going on right here. Aside from that, if you come over here and you look down here, I know my camera doesn't pick it up the very best, but there's definitely a good amount of corrosion on those fuses. There's more corrosion over here, and then we have more on our secondary NVMe slot. So the odds, honestly, of this board working are probably going to be pretty slim, but we are going to build this thing up. We're going to get everything in the case and at least try. So fingers crossed. I hope that this thing works. Okay, so I got this thing all nice and cleaned off, and I found plenty more corrosion all over this board. Again, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but it's going to be fun assembling it and seeing what happens. If it does not work, I do have a backup board just in case. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get our cooler on here, and then we're going to move on to what fans and RAM we're going to be using with this build. Okay, so we have our cooler installed. Let's go ahead and we're going to take a look at what RAM we're going to be using. Alright, so we are going to be installing Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro. This is a 16 gig kit. These do run at 3200 megatransfers per second. With that being said, this CPU is only able to handle up to 2666. So that is the speed in which we will be running at, unfortunately, but these are RGB and they're pretty, so hopefully these work. I've had these sitting around for quite a while, so we will just have to find out. Alright, so we have our RAM installed. One thing I'm noticing here is I do not like this cooler. It does have this little lip right here that actually overlaps one of our DIMM slots. So, and if I turn it the other way, this cord does not reach. It's got a really weird cable on it. So, regardless, it should be perfectly fine. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at the fans that I plan on using for this build. So, I decided to go with 120mm RGB Apivia fans. These are a pretty good quality fan. I use these in all my builds. I use these in both of my PCs that I have. They come with the controller. They come with the remote. They look fantastic. They're, again, decent quality, so this should be a perfect match for our build. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get these installed to our case, and then we're going to move on to the rest of the build. Alright, so check this out. She is looking so good already. We got all of our fans in. I have one standard 120mm in the rear. We got our power supply in. A few things to note about this case is this. I don't entirely know what this is. It looks like fake carbon wrap or tape or something, but it doesn't look the best, but I'm just going to go ahead and leave it. It would probably leave a bunch of residue on here that I don't feel like pulling off, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave this how it is for now. But the case definitely cleaned up very nice. It's actually a pretty decent looking case. I will note, however, that this thing is absolutely terrible for airflow. So we're going to go ahead, get this thing laid down on our operating table, get the motherboard in, get our GPU in, get an SSD installed with some Windows, and test some games. Okay, so before we do the install, one thing I'd like to know is we do not have an I/O shield, unfortunately. I couldn't remember if it came with one or not. I looked all over and I do not have one, so obviously it did not come with one. But that's not a big deal. Alright, so now that we have everything installed, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to get everything plugged in here. When I come back, this PC will be ready to test. Alright, you guys, we have got this thing all in one piece. She looks freaking awesome. I'm still a little bit concerned about the corrosion in here. There is definitely a good bit. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to work, but it's at least worth trying. it definitely looks good. I can't wait to see what this thing looks like when we go ahead and fire it on. So let's go ahead, let's power this thing on and see if we can get picture on the screen. Alright, so she does power on right away. We have all of our RGB fans lighting up here. Not freaking bad. Let's see if we can get into the BIOS here. Alright, so she does in fact boot into the BIOS. Awesome, freaking awesome. Let's go ahead and see if we can't see what kind of temps we're getting. Alright, so we are into our hardware monitor here, and our CPU temp, we are running 33C. Could be better, but that is definitely acceptable. In fact, that's fantastic. I can't believe that this thing actually powers on and works with all that corrosion and even rust to boot. That is crazy. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get everything installed on an SSD, get our drivers, pick out some games, and we're going to see if this is an ultimate budget build. Alright, so first up is DayZ. This game is highly optimized. It will run on a potato of a system. So we are, 90 to 100 FPS, sometimes dipping down into the 70s, which is perfectly fine. We're looking at 45C on our CPU, right around 65 to 67C on our GPU, and it's running perfect. No lagging, no hitching, no issues. For anybody who's playing this competitively, you would definitely have a great experience. So we are looking at about 66 to 80 to 90% utilization on the GPU. So this thing is definitely running pretty darn good. Not a bad PC at all. So with that being said, guys, we are going to go ahead and move on to the next game. Alright, so next up we have Pall World. This game's a lot like Pokemon, only a little bit more violent. Very fun game. So we're averaging right now right around 60 FPS. We're looking at 44C, 45C on the CPU, hovering right around 60 to 62C on our GPU, and the game seems to be running absolutely perfect. I'm seeing no lagging, no issues, and this is medium to high settings as well. So this is definitely rather impressive for a nearly 10-year-old CPU. The fact that something this old can run, a newer title this well just goes to show you that y'all don't got to spend a ridiculous amount of money to get into PC gaming. Pretty freaking cool. So we're still averaging right around 60 FPS. Again, we're not having any issues at all. Quality detail is great. And yeah, this is kind of surprised. Try and get into some heavier textures over here and see if we can get any dips. And it says, no way, I'm staying right above 60. Let's freaking go. Alright, we are going to go ahead and move on to the next game, which is going to be a lot more demanding. Alright, so next up is Forza Horizon 5, and holy crap, I cannot believe how well this game is running right now. I thought that this was not going to run in the 70s. We're 80s. We're hovering right around 70, 80 FPS. We got 48C on the CPU. We got 64C on our GPU. And this is running freaking perfect. Like, what the hell? This is actually very surprising. I would have thought that this was going to be the game that brought the system down to its knees, but I was in fact wrong, and apparently I underestimated this this little 1400. Wow, absolutely crazy. We'll see if we can't get a quick race here real quick. This is the one thing that I can't stand about this game is people just do stupid stuff like this. Like, what are you doing? What is the point? There's literally no point other than just to be obnoxious. So we'll get one nice little pull in and see how fast we can cross that finish line. Oh, we got a challenger. Who's gonna win? Definitely not him. Oh, he wanted the smoke and he got the smoke. And we crossed the finish line first. Wow. Yeah, we're averaging right around 70, 80 FPS. It's running perfectly fine. No issues at all. This is definitely not even really stressing the system out. I'm utterly almost speechless at this point. That is crazy. So if you have a system like this, you can definitely play some Forza. Alright, we are going to go ahead and we're going to move on to our next game. Alright, so last but not least, we are into Helldivers. So far, we are getting right around 30 FPS. It does appear to actually be quite playable. However, I am playing at the very lowest settings that you can play at. So, quality is definitely not there. However, if you are on a tight budget, you would be able to play some Helldivers. So, we're right around 48C on our CPU. We're looking around 58, 57C on our GPU. It's not bad at all. This system is running absolutely just perfect. I can't believe the results that I'm getting out of this thing. And we are smashing. And I am running out of ammo. Still getting a solid 30 FPS. So since we're pretty much at the end of testing, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I already priced all these parts online. You could literally build this computer for under $300. It is truly the ultimate budget gaming PC. Absolutely insane. See if I can't take these guys out before I finish my testing here. Come on. Come on. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Unfortunately, at time of filming, it took me 2-3 days to actually finish this whole video. I may sound a little bit low energy. Unfortunately, I did get a cold or some kind of sickness. It might be allergies or something, but so I do apologize if I sound a little bleh. I do feel bleh. However, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was a fun one. I enjoyed doing this so much. Until next time, y'all stay safe in the world.